All right, guys. Dreadnought's back today with a new review, and we're going to be looking at the DC Comics Mattel Multiverse 6-inch line. This is a new line from Mattel, and this is one of the first figures from the first wave. It is our Batman Endgame. The Joker comes with a Collect and Connect Justice Buster Build-A-Figure. Packaging is very reminiscent of the 3 3/4 inch multiverse packaging. Same kind of color scheme going on here. Looks very good. Also reminiscent of what Marvel Legends and the Black Series from Hasbro are doing now. Nothing really going on the side over here. Got a picture of the Joker, some nice artwork, and a little bio down here, and of course that corner cut out at the bottom. And there's a look at the other figures from the wave. Looks like in this first wave we've got the Joker, the Arrow, and the Flash, and then we're going to get Reverse Flash, Superman, and Batman in the next wave, and all those will complete the Justice Buster Build-A-Figure. Looking okay there. Not real impressed with that Build-A-Figure so far. So let's crack this bad boy open and get a look at it. All right, and here's our Joker out of the packaging. Looking okay overall. There's definitely a few things I like about this figure, but I'm afraid to say there's more I don't like. With this being Mattel's return to 6-inch figures since the DCU Classics, I kind of expected more, and it looks like we got some reused parts here, and just not a lot of love for this line, considering from what I've read, they're going to do away with the 3 3/4 inch this year and go to this 6-inch series. And this was completely off the radar for me, let me tell you. I found this guy in Toys R Us completely by surprise, had no idea about it. Don't remember it kicking a lot up at Comic-Con or Toy Fair about this line. Obviously, a lot of people weren't too impressed because I just didn't see much about it. But, there he is, and he's looking okay. So let's take a closer look. And up first, as we look at accessories here, he came with this skin mask, I guess, and I understand the inclusion of it with this version of the Joker we got. Looking pretty gruesome there. Nice sculpted detail in it. It's a real soft, rubbery plastic. It has some pink overtones in it, so it looks okay. Has a realistic look to it. They did some nice sculpt work with it. Overall it's okay. I wish we'd have gotten a gun or something also included. The fact that we only got this really is the only accessory, kind of bums me out. But it did also come with a Build-A-Figure piece, as you can see here. And this piece is really just not very good. I don't really know. First off, I'm not sure anybody really was clamoring for a Justice Buster Build-A-Figure. Maybe some people, but certainly not me. And I don't think for the reintroduction to their 6-inch line, this should have been the Build-A-Figure to go with. I can think of so many other choices that would have been awesome, that would have gotten people excited. But anyway, with that said, I know Marvel catches a lot of flack, or Hasbro does, over Marvel Legends with their Build-A-Figures, with lack of paint and things of that nature. But this thing is just gray plastic. You got a little darker shade of gray here and here, but that is it. And it's very cheaply made. This whole top piece here is hollow as well, and doesn't feel sturdy, honestly. There's a little bit of weight. This feels more rubbery here at the end down here. It's kind of softer feeling. But this actually feels like it would break. It feels so thin. And you can also tell that we're not going to get a lot of articulation here in this. Basically there's no wrist swivel or anything on here. You got the ball at the elbow, and that's it. And then this joint, or this hinge up here, which does move smooth enough. I'm just, not impressed, I guess. There is some nice sculpted detail in it. It's got some dings and stuff in it. But for their first Build-A-Figure out of the gate with the Multiverse 6-inch line, I guess I expected more, from that. So, oh well, there it is. And I guess that's better than nothing. But let's take a closer look at the figure. And as we take a closer look at the sculpting on the figure, the one thing I do want to say that I really like is this head sculpt of the Joker. I'm not a huge fan of this look of the character with the shaved hair on the sides. But either way, I think they pulled the head sculpt off in great detail. Just some very, very nice sculpting in here. You can see all the wrinkles sculpted into his forehead, the eyes sculpted in. A lot of nice paint detail as well. The mouth is sculpted awesomely. And I like the paint they used on the teeth with the yellow and then kind of the brown around the gums and stuff, and the red lips. And then the pink around the bottom of the eyes with the green pupils. And I love this shade of green they used for the hair. as well as the eyebrows. I think it just really looks awesome. That's just sick looking on the Joker. And then he also went to enough detail to actually paint in, you know, little shaved hair there around the sides of the head. You can see there, my camera doesn't want to pick it up quite as well as it should with the white. But you can definitely see it's there. There's also some dry brushing over the hair to give it some nice texture. So, you know, head sculpt alone, awesome. I think they nailed it. Now, getting to the rest of the figure, you know, the black suit, not much going on here. This is definitely reused from the Movie Masters line. I think the Harvey Dent had this suit. I can't remember who had it first, but it's definitely a reused mold. And you can see here, the only difference is like I remember with the Harvey Dent, it was open, and I'll actually get that figure out so we can compare it, but in different colors here. But I think the suit comes out nice enough for what it is. You know, black suit, has a gray shirt, black tie. Sculpting was nice on it before. So, you know, everything looks good. Not a huge fan of how they stamped that on the back of the jacket. I think they could have hid that in a different place. You know, but overall it looks okay. It does look like we got some new hands on here. And if we can pick those up, they're looking pretty good. I'm going to dim this down just a little bit to pick up that detail. So, yeah, you can see there. And he's kind of got that pose where he should be holding that mask. And you can tell they're gloved. Some nice wrinkles and stuff sculpted in there. So I like the hands. They came out really well. Kind of got that Mickey Mouse look on the glove up there. Looking pretty cool. This one you can't really see. The hand is hid from the jacket. You know, and it's just a partially open hand. So you really, you know, I wish they would have given this hand as much detail as this. This actually just looks like a white hand painted, a reuse. So I'm not sure we got new sculpting in that. It looks like, as far as I can see, we got new sculpting in the head and the hand so far. And then looking at the legs, you know, very reminiscent of what we saw with the Harvey Dent. Even though this guy stands taller than that line, the Movie Masters line, these could be reused from the Question figure or something like that. I don't have that figure, so I'm not sure. And you can see there's kind of a line that goes up through his butt here. I'm not sure why that's sculpted in like that. But yeah, you know, it looks okay overall. Just not, you know, hugely impressive, you know, with the rest of the body mold. I definitely love the head sculpt, though, and that hand. And as we look at articulation, this is kind of where it really bums me out. The head rotates around, but it feels very cheap. It almost feels rubbery, like the joint in here is made out of rubber. You know, it doesn't move precisely. There's some give no matter where you put it because it feels real rubbery, almost like the old Mattel figures before the DCUCs. But, you know, no pivot, no nothing. It just rotates around. That's it. So you can't move it up, can't move it down. You know, you can bend it. You know, you can try and flex it a little bit because it's so rubbery. But that's it. That's the only movement you get. And then this is pretty standard what we saw, you know, on the other lines, which, you know, the arm moves up a great amount. It does rotate around a great amount. It does have the cut up here at the upper arm, you know, and the joint at the elbow, single jointed, not quite 90 degrees. The hand does swivel, but I think, you know, especially with posing him holding that mask, he should have had some hinges here on the hands, which he does not. That's pretty standard on most figures nowadays. And this one also does not have that, so that's really a bummer. Can't crunch forward, can't crunch backwards. Does have waist rotation underneath the jacket. And rotate all the way around, like so. It has the hips that move out weirdly. A big crotch, gaping crotch underneath. You know, I've never been a fan of that with Mattel. The legs will kick out a decent amount, like so. And they'll kick back actually a decent amount as well. It does have that upper leg cut here. This one's really tight. This one moves around just fine. I'm probably going to take some heat to free that one up. Single jointed knees like so. Get 90 degrees with those. And then the feet, they have that old hinge on them that allows them just that much movement up and down. No rotation and no rocker, which stinks, honestly. We should have rockers on just about any figure, I think, nowadays that comes out. I think we've moved to that point in collecting. So, you know, articulation's okay, just not really great. All right, up first, I wanted to compare this guy to our Harvey Dent over here on the left from the Movie Masters line. But let's get a measurement on this guy. Our new Joker's coming in at a little over 6 inches tall there. So definitely a lot taller figure than what we see here with the Dent. That doesn't take away from the fact that they did reuse some parts here. It looks like the jacket is the exact same jacket. Let's see, we turn it around here. And it actually, yes, it has the same wrinkles in the back of the jacket. The difference is it's not stamped on this one. The bottom of the jacket is a little bit different on this one. It does have a crease here, but these wrinkles up in the upper back look exactly the same. So I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but it definitely looks like it shared some mold pieces. The front of the jacket, the wrinkles are all in the same place. Maybe they just used the same sculpt and made a different mold from it. But even height of the jacket and length of the jacket, if you stand them up like this, they look the same. They're pretty much the same length. You know, it just comes down longer on the Harvey Dent than it does over here on the Joker. The shirts look the same. There's even a wrinkle here in the same place. The ties do look different. This one does look bigger. You know, so it's hard to tell. You know, maybe they did redo this jacket, but they definitely used the same sculpting they used on this one. If so, it has the pockets are in the same place. Now this jacket is sealed here in the front. Oh, our guy's gonna fall over. And then on our Harvey Dent, it's open, you know. But the pants also look the same. A lot of the same kind of cuffing at the bottom. There is some different wrinkles on this side though, so that looks okay. And the shoes, this just looks like a bigger version of these shoes, so maybe they just upped the mold for these. You know, hard to say. You know, the suits look very similar, but for size, I'm assuming these are new molds. It just looks like maybe they based them off the same sculpts here. So let's do some more comparisons. All right, and here's our new 6-inch Multiverse Joker compared to our Classics DCUC Joker from Mattel. And you can see these guys scale perfectly together. So these figures are definitely going to scale in with DCU Classics from what I can see with the Joker here. These guys are almost virtually at the same height. You know, and here's our Arkham from DC Collectibles over here on the right, looking taller than both. But this is a 7-inch scale where these are both 6-inch scale. So, you know, yeah, I think it looks pretty cool here, and it's kind of neat that they're going to scale in with the DCU Classics. All right, and here's all the suits together, and you can see our two Marvel Legends suits here on the left with Coulson and our Hammerhead, and you can see these guys come in shorter. So sadly, these Mattel, just like DCUC Classics, are not going to scale in line with Marvel Legends. They come up a little bit taller. And then here's our Riddler from DC Collectibles, our Capulo version over here on the right, and you can see this guy's shorter, where the Joker should be a little taller than the Riddler. So, you know, he's in between. He's not going to scale with either one of these lines, but he does scale with the DCUC Classic, so that's cool enough. All right, and with DC icons being a hot topic, especially with scale, we already knew they did not scale with the DCUCs. But I did want to show these together just for another look. And you can see these guys will not be able to be displayed together. They just scale nothing alike. The Icons figures that just came out from DC Collectibles are much shorter than the DC Universe Classics and this new line from Mattel. I did steal Hammerhead's gun. I thought that looked pretty cool on the Joker there when I had him side by side a while ago. And I really wish he'd have come with something like that, because that just looks really cool, and I'll probably display him with something like that. And then over here on the left, I've got, this was pre-DC Universe Classics from the Batman line that came out first. This is one of my favorite Batman figures of all time. I just like the amount of detail and paint that went into this figure, and I still think it stands up in comparison to a lot of figures nowadays. I just love the look of this figure, and his hands were actually hinged even way back then, so didn't have all the articulation that we have now, but did actually have some things that we're still missing, so definitely cool, all lined up there in a row. All right, so wrapping up here, it's definitely cool from a nostalgia factor that Mattel is actually coming out with 6-inch DC Universe figures right now, and the Multiverse, you know, umbrella encompasses a lot of things that they can put into these figures, you know, and they can do some rarities from TV and video games and everything else. And at times Mattel has really shined. So I'm curious and I'm amped up to see what they do with this line, but I think it falls pretty flat out of the gate with, you know, reused molds or parts that look very similar to what we've seen. I think the head sculpt was just purely awesome. I think they nailed it. Just not sure this was the Joker that I would have picked coming out of the gate to use, or with the other selections they picked in the first wave, and definitely with the Build-A-Figure, you know, to reintroduce 6-inch figures to collectors from Mattel. I think I would have went with some more familiar characters, or maybe some things that fans didn't get from DC Universe Classics that have been waiting for a long time, just to kind of feed or whet the appetite. So, you know, I think the Joker falls flat here. I can't necessarily rate him a buy, but it is a cool look for the Joker. And if you're a Joker fan like myself, you know, he may be a must-have for you. Articulation of the figure really bums me out. It needs better head movement. We need hinges on the hands. It definitely needs ankle rockers. And I think it's about time that Mattel does away with this crotch articulation in the hips and gets down with even what DC Collectibles has done is an improvement from this with their Icons figures. So, you know, it's time for Mattel to get on board and find out if they're serious about making figures that people actually want to purchase or not. If they are, I wish they would really step forward, get in the game, and start competing with Marvel Legends or Hasbro to give us collectors, you know, a figure at a price point that we can afford, but has some of the quality and articulation that we see in so many figures nowadays. So, you know, with that said, you know, I leave it up to you. You know, pick your poison. If you're okay with DC Universe Classics articulation, then it's a fine figure overall. I didn't have any problems with breakage or mold issues or any kind of extra plastic or anything. He could have used some more accessories, like I said earlier, so that kind of bummed me as well. But overall, he's a nice looking figure. So I can't really say where to get these figures because honestly, like I said, I had no idea these figures were coming out. I found this figure at my local Toys R Us along with Flash and Green Arrow, but they weren't even in their system and they didn't know anything about the figures when I tried to purchase it. I actually got them to sell me the figure at a Multiverse 3 3/4 inch price because they didn't know what to do, so they were just scrambling in the system to find something they could sell it to me as, because I told them I wanted to buy it no matter what. So, you know, and I told them I was willing to pay whatever, but that's what they pulled up. So, you know, you definitely can go out to your local Toys R Us and see if they're hanging on the shelves. You know, there's been some surprises lately coming through Toys R Us. The Ghostbusters from NECA that came out earlier, I'm sorry, Diamond Select that came out earlier this month were surprises as well. I didn't expect them to hit Toys R Us so soon. So there are some figures definitely cycling through, maybe ahead of their time a little bit. So I encourage you to look for it there if that's where, what you're looking for. Other than that, I'm sure they'll be up for pre-order on several sites soon enough. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you brought you something you hadn't seen recently. So, and I hope you enjoyed the nostalgia from the DC Universe Classics line as well. I know I did. More content coming down the way, so please subscribe if you hadn't already. Facebook, Twitter, Toy Art, links in the description below as always. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked the video, and thank you so much, guys. We'll see you soon.